Get ready to find your recipe for a successful real estate lifestyle from America's top expert here at Greenlight REI with your host, Lance Edwards.
Well, hello everyone. Hi, this is Lance Edwards. Welcome to this session of Greenlight REI, where you learn the recipe for the successful real estate lifestyle. And for this session, we have a guest speaker as an expert deal maker who has a business model that I'm confident everyone's going to have a lot of interest in. This is where he's teaching and partnering with his students to do real estate deals across southeast part of the United States. Our guest is Peter Vekselman. And welcome, Peter, to Greenlight REI.
Lance, I appreciate you having me on here. Just one note, not just in Southeast. I mean, I do deals from the East Coast to the West Coast. So well,
there you go. All right, nationwide.
All over the United States. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. Thanks.
Super. And a little bit of a background. Let me tell you a little about Peter's background. It's pretty phenomenal. He's done over 3,500 real estate deals. And his team actively invests in 15 to 30 deals each and every month. He leads an army of real estate agents, negotiators, and marketers doing deals all across the United States. And he has a business model that enables him to do this type of volume. What we're talking about today is called the Partner-Driven Real Estate Coaching Program. Partner-Driven Real Estate Coaching Program. And so, Peter, let's start off here. First of all, what is your background? How did you get started in real estate? How did you get to this business model that you have?
Sure. Well, actually, I came from a totally unrelated industry, a franchising industry. I started a merchant services business many years ago, and we caught quite a lot of traction with it. And about 3 years later, I had franchised it to 15 different states. The business at that point was way bigger than I was, became a corporation at that point, had 100 employees, wasn't even in charge of making decisions on a day-to-day basis. And then it just wasn't me. So I got rid of it, sold it. And I was just trying to figure out what to do next with my life. And then somebody introduced me to a book called Deals on Wheels by Lonnie Scruggs, which is a mobile home. I really didn't know anything about mobile homes at that point, but, read it overnight. I thought it was the best thing in the world. Got a hold of Lonnie the next morning, said, you got to teach me this stuff. And, he happened to have a seminar coming on up in a week or two from there. And so I went there, came back, bought my first mobile home. The Tuesday I came back, and 3 years later had the largest mobile home dealership brokerage really in Southeast United States at that point. So we were just absolutely killing it. We were doing about 100 mobile homes a month. And then for anybody that knows anything about mobile homes, what happened many years ago, the whole industry just collapsed. Literally within 5-6 months, every player got out, from Greenpoint to Green Tree to B of A, MHFC. So that business just got destroyed because the back end fell out. And from that point on, we kind of transitioned into real estate because that was kind of the logical thing. Mobile homes is, kind of what I always thought was an extension of real estate, where real estate is an extension of mobile homes, and got into it, made every mistake possible. And here we are 20 years later, rocking and rolling.
All right. So, and I know that book well. It's a great book. And all right. So now you've got your partner-driven real estate investing program. So tell us, what is that, number one, and how did that evolve, Pete? How did you come to that model?
Well, how it evolved was very simple. For many, many years, I was my own investor, like most individuals are. It's like see deal, do deal. And what happened is I had a couple places in the United States that we had a stronghold on. One being here in Georgia, one being in Florida, in Jacksonville specifically, and one being in the West Coast in Modesto. I mean, I had offices in all of these cities. I had employees. I had locations. Because, ultimately real estate is to a degree, a locally driven business. And that was my model for years on end. The only thing we had centralized really at that point was marketing. We were taking all inbound marketing calls out of my Atlanta office. I had a full-time, I had negotiators, really had a call center here with people taking inbound calls. They were coming in from different states, those 3 states. They were basically teeing up appointments, either for people to go out there and secure an investment property, or for real estate agents, because I've always believed that the real estate agent and the investor world could be intertwined. So if the seller would call us and on the phone, we realized right away it's not a deal we could do, because I also own real estate teams in these locations. My callers would just flip it into a regular retail listing, kind of like, well, I know my investor can't pay this much, but I tell you what, I know you want to sell. And so, I developed huge investment portfolio, was buying thousands of deals, but at the same time had huge real estate teams, because literally what we were doing is we were developing gold for them. If you know anything about real estate agents, if you develop a seller leads, it doesn't get any better than that. Buyer leads are a dime a dozen in the real estate retail side. So, the two models ran in conjunction with each other. But what started happening over a period of time, and we know anyone knows this, if you're in the business right now, it's getting to be tougher and tougher right now. And it's tougher and tougher because it's actually getting better and better. Everybody wants to jump in. Everybody wants to be an investor. There's, more money out there available than ever before. Gurus are out there pitching how, nobody has to do anything. You just jump back in. But as that started happening with every Tom, Dick, and Harry getting in the business, it started getting tougher for guys like me, because, we were being, in any other, if I own a dry cleaner and the guy across the street from me starts a dry cleaner and he's an awful operator, he's going to drive himself out of business. Unfortunately, in real estate, if I'm a real estate investor and 100 rookies get in today, even if they know nothing what they're doing, they could screw it up for me. They could overpay for prices. They could bid things up. So in real estate, a bunch of riffraff is not really helpful. The market, although weeds itself out, in the time that it weeds itself out, it really hurts guys like me. So what started happening is it started getting tougher and tougher for me. And remember, I'm a volume guy. I was doing, you said 10 to 15, I think you said, but in reality, I have to do dozens and dozens of deals on a monthly basis. So I need to have that volume being pumped up. And so what started happening over a period of time is my marketing costs simply just started going higher and higher. For what I used to spend $1 for, it came to the point that I was spending almost $8 to $9 to get the same results. Like anything else, it's a balancing act. It's something here, you get something here. And so I was trying to figure out how do I maintain my model? Because, as a small business owner, this, we always have to learn how to make adjustments. If you don't know how to make adjustments or aren't willing to make an adjustment, you're gonna die sooner or later. So I was trying to figure out I was tinkering with my own model. How do I keep my volume up? How do I get deals going? Well, at the same time, the one gift that I possess that very few investors possess is that for years, remember, I was investing across the United States. I was doing deals in Florida. I was doing deals in Atlanta. I was doing deals all the way to California. So my gift was that I was able to do things remotely. Everybody talks about virtual investing and, it sounds good in a seminar. Reality is it is tough as shit to do that kind of stuff. So, but I actually developed that skill set of how to do a deal in a location where I myself was not located. So understanding that I had that skill set and also had some social media out there, I started tinkering. The cool thing that I like about social media is that social media is very responsive. You can have an idea today, and if you have a good social media presence, you can just throw it out to your social media and you can gauge the response. So a while back, I kind of came up with this idea and I said, okay, if you're an individual anywhere in the United States and you find a real estate deal and you need help, like let's say you need money, call me and I will give you the money to do the deal and I'll partner with you all the way through the deal. We'll help you make sure that it's done correctly. And then when we're done, we'll split the profits. And really, in the beginning, that's all the messaging was through social media. And I'm just going to tell you, it took off like wildfire. People all over the United States started calling. We were getting upwards of 200 to 300 inquiries a week with people that would find deals, or at least what they thought to be deals. Like, hey, my uncle died, and now I got this property, and I don't know what to do with. And so we started doing deals literally across the United States with single moms with 6 kids, with 20-year-old kids, with immigrants that were working in carnivals, just everyday people coming across deals, almost many of them by accident. They had no skill set, but they kind of thought, there's something here. And so over a period of time, this whole concept took a life of its own. And I started branding the name. And the name was very simple. You find it, I fund it. And the whole idea took off to such a level that even Hollywood noticed. And they actually started doing a reality show on me because they're like, this is a really cool concept. Kind of like a real life guru who's not going to just tell people how great he is or just, leave him. He's, real life guru really investing into real life people and getting to be successful. And I mean, we had some amazing success stories. I mean, like the kind of success stories that are like tear jerkers, And at the same time, this is how this whole thing comes around. So the idea was great. But also the reality is, and I'm sure you understand this, most people that were trying to get a hold of us didn't really have deals. They thought they had deals, but really in the end, they didn't have deals. But and this is really the final piece to the model. See, the other side of the equation that I've had is for years, 10 plus years, I've also had a traditional real estate educational platform, the typical guru stuff. Where we teach people how to become successful investors. And the two never intertwine. On one side, I was an investor. On the other side, I was educating people, and there was zero connection between the two. And it's like with everyone else that does these pieces. On one side that you're investing, you're doing great. On the other side where you're just educating, unfortunately, your people aren't doing that great. Because this, like everyone else knows this, who's listening to this, in this business, there's a million miles between knowing something and doing something. So you could provide the best education to an individual. You could teach them everything but the problem is when they get out there and they try to implement it, it's just too tough of a business. There's too many variables in this business. So the educational platform, which I was always proud about, but at the same time, it didn't have these stellar results, okay? So let's bring it back to this messaging. You find that I fund it. And again, because I was doing almost all of this messaging through social media, my social media people were constantly, my social media people were constantly giving me feedback. And all of a sudden, the marketplace started coming back to us with a different message. It was no longer, hey, I found a deal. Will you help me do the deal? The messaging turned into this. I love what you're doing. I love that you'll back me, but I don't know how to find a deal. So will you teach me how to do it? And that's when this whole thing came together. That's when it just all the bells went off. I said, I need to bring my educational platform in here. And I need to merge the two. And that's exactly what happened. I literally brought the educational piece when they were apart, and I brought them together and I merged my educational piece with the partnering piece. And then the message became very simple. If you want to learn how to find a deal, we'll teach you, and I'll do something for you that nobody else in the United States will. I'll back you. I'll do deals with you. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And that's, Lance, when the whole thing just skyrocketed. As successful as my education has been, it's six-folded in a couple months, literally 6 times the size of it. The deal flow started getting more, in line because people were now being educated. And that's really the evolution of where I am today. Now people come through the educational side. We teach them how to do deals. And then I literally do deals with them, and we get involved all the way through the process. We market with them, for them, actually, a lot of times. I give them 100% of the money to get the deal done. My team that's able to execute things remotely, right in their own cities, help them fix it. And then we sell them and split the profits 50-50. And that right there is the evolution of the model and where I am with the model today.
And I would say, thank you for that. I would say what you've done, you've gone back to your roots of franchising. I know this is not a franchise, but you are replicating your efforts to a lot of other people following your system. Is that a fair statement, Peter?
Dead on, because you're right. Those were my roots. I did that on a couple other things I've done. I've even done that kind of an expansion, not with this model here in real estate. So, I'm a big replicate guy. I'm a big duplicate guy. I'm a big leverage through other people's efforts guy. And you're right. It's a very similar kind of a model. Very similar. Absolutely.
All right. So now in this model, what type of properties are you going for? Is this single family or is it commercial, all the above? What are you looking for?
Yeah, and the first time that we're going to partner with somebody, we're not going to partner on a high rise, and we're not going to flip. We're not going to go 100,000 square foot warehouse. So, kind of our general, not black and white, but our general criteria is we're going to start out with a single family home on the first flip. We're going to be a couple 100,000 and under, unless we're on the West Coast where things are a little bit more. We're going to be a couple 100,000 and under. We're going to have a single family home. We're going to have some kind of a pre-required equity based upon the marketplace, and that's it. That's basically the criteria. Houses first, mid price to bottom, mid to lower price for their market.
And excuse me, is it strictly flipping, or are you doing some buy and holds under this partner model as well, Peter?
No, it's a fix and flip model. Now, what happens? Some of our partners do want to hold, and so what happens on those models is we just kind of figure out ahead of time. Kind of what the buyout price for me would be, because, they're usually picking up long-term mortgages on those. And so when they're cashing out, I make a little bit of money that way. So
I got it.
We can go either way.
Okay. Now, what type of people are clients or people are you looking to work with? Experience, non-experience? What type of parameters are you looking for?
Well, see, before we combine the educational piece, really this worked more for the experienced guys. These were the guys that were already maybe wholesaling. They want to move up the food chain into fix and flipping. These were people that already fix and flipping. They just needed more capital. So they needed a fusion of a partnership like mine that provides 100% of the capital and all this. But then once we combine the educational piece with it, that now we educate people on how to find it. And when I say educate, we get involved. I mean, my marketing team actually markets for them in their own areas and develops leads. My construction outfit actually oversees and helps with the construction piece all the way through the process. So it's a true partnership all the way across the board. So because it is a true partnership where my team gets involved all the way through the deal, yeah, it's everyday people. It's the same guy that today is sitting in a seminar somewhere or listening to a webinar that's like, I want to do this. I know how to do this. I just can't, I don't have the money to do it, or I don't have the experience to do it. Really, it's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? It's really comes down to the reason so few people get successful in real estate. It's either they lack money or they lack experience or they lack both. And so in this partnership program, they're using my money. So the money is out the door, no longer an issue. And since it's my money, guess what? You're going to use my experience because I'm not going to lose my money. So even if you're a brand new guy and you're getting started and you don't really understand how to do it all, it's okay because my team is there all the way through the process. We're not going to let you make a mistake because I'm not going to make a mistake. So if you think about it, the more you kind of talk it through, it's almost like a near perfect model.
And so these I'll call them student partners. They work in their local markets all around the country. Is that correct? They're not limited to these 3 or 4 markets you originally were in. You're now across the country, right?
Absolutely, they are all over the country.
So they're your boots on the ground, so to speak, within that particular locality.
Yeah, it's a win-win model. I need them because I want to do more deals.
Right.
Me because they got to know what the hell they're doing. So it's literally a win-win model across the board.
That's super. Now, let me ask a couple of questions. And being on the education side of the business and the transactional side of the business, so some people may be listening right now, Peter, and they think, well, maybe I'm not smart enough to do this, or I'm scared to get on the phone, or I'm not sure I'm even up to this. How would you speak to those people that may be even disqualifying themselves right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're right. It is scary. And they're right. They're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable. But again, going back to our model, remember, I want to do more deals. So my team literally gets on the phone. My negotiator will jump on the phone with him and help them negotiate a deal. Why? Because I want to do that deal. And if they think they got something, boom, we'll do a nice handoff and my people will jump in. You know what I mean? And they're right. A lot of them can't do it. I mean, I'm not going to argue that point. I'm the last person that's going to say anybody can do real estate, because you know as well as I do, real estate is a freaking tough business. It's got a big upside, but it's got just this big downside. So that's why this model is so cool, because, you know, we are literally holding them by the hand, walking them through the process. You know, see, what happens in a traditional educational side is this. A client comes to me, I teach him everything I know, I hold nothing back, they pay me for it, and then our relationship basically ends. I did my part, I educated them. But the problem is when that client then goes out into the marketplace, everything I taught him is conceptual. We can only teach conceptual stuff, because I don't know if the house is going to be green or yellow. I don't know. Right. I have no idea that their contractor is going to rip them off. I don't know that their real estate agent is going to give them wrong comps. You know, there's 50,000 things. But when I'm partnering with someone and somebody says, hey, Pete, I think I have a deal and it's worth $100,000, because it's in my vested interest to make sure it's worth $100,000, we're going to walk them through the process. Here's how you make sure it's worth $100,000, because guess what? It's going to be my money on the line. You see what I mean? So by doing that, what we're building in essence is we're building confidence in it. So the way you overcome the things you're talking about, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't think I could do it, you overcome it through confidence. Because you know, once you do it 10 times and 20 times and 30 times, all of a sudden it clicks in your head like, okay, I got it. So this is really how to do due diligence. This is really how to interpret comp. This is really what happens when the contractor screws you. That's it. We're building confidence. So by going through real life experiences with them, we're developing we're developing their skill set. And we're there along the way. Because what happens to a traditional real estate guy, he gets educated, he goes out there, he makes some mistakes. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes, you make mistakes. He doesn't know how to handle those mistakes, so then he's out, because he's like, well, this doesn't work, or I'm doing something wrong, I don't know what the hell's going on, or everyone's taking advantage of me, and they don't give themselves. Whereas with me, the same challenges are going to come up. The same challenges. We know how to handle them. So with us, we force that person to keep on moving forward and moving forward and moving forward and moving forward. And then all of a sudden they look back, they're like, oh, wow, we just closed on that deal. Yeah, exactly. So that's why this is so cool.
Now, you were talking earlier, Peter, about you've had some really great success stories. Can you share one or two to kind of make the point of kind of some deals you've done, but more importantly, the kind of people that you're working with that did it?
Yeah, I'll tell you a great one, man. I remember, and sometimes if I have time, I'll jump on a plane, I'll fly out and meet one of my new partners. So a couple months back, 3 or 4 months back, we had a partner come into our program. His name is Antonio. And Antonio was out of Chicago. Now, check this out. I fly into Chicago in the middle of the summer. Antonio picks me up in a car that has no air conditioning in it. We are driving through the city of Chicago, 4 windows down. Antonio told me later, like, I couldn't even afford to rent a car because he wanted to just impress me a little bit. He was so broke, he couldn't even freaking spend $100 a day or whatever it costs to rent a car. I remember I was dying. I mean, I was literally dying that day. But, you know, we're driving around looking at some stuff. So make a long story short, we bought our first 2 properties with Antonio, okay? And the deals took about, average fix and flip. I think we took 3 to 4 months, something like that. And it just so happened that we bought them together. We bought them like 1 or 2 weeks apart. And it just so happened they sold like 3 weeks apart. And here it is. I was there with a guy that couldn't even afford to spend $100 to impress me with a rental car. To 3 or 4 months later, Antonio made tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, Antonio, he couldn't have done this without me. And, if you could spin this thing any way you want to, and you're like, he couldn't have. He couldn't even get financing himself if he wanted to do this deal, because you have to bring money down when you have financing. So he would have literally been prohibited from doing this deal. But because I gave him 100% of the money to fix it, because my team was there on the construction piece, and crap hit the fan, by the way, on these constructions, on both of them, because my team knew how to handle it. We walked them through the deal, okay? And by the way, let me just tell you something. Antonio was a freaking superstar. I mean, I still remember my girl, I'd be walking through the office and my girls would be like, Antonio, get your ad, blah, blah, blah. And he would be like, okay, I'll do it. You know, I mean, he did everything. Matter of fact, the day of closing, I still remember walking out of my office and Laura was like, got up barking at someone. And I remember I got to lunch and I texted her, everything okay? And all my girls know to always respond affirmatively. She's like, yeah, I got it handled. But I knew it was Antonio. And then later, a couple of days later, I said, Antonio, Laura, what was all that all about? Well, the day of closing, it turned out that there had to be a picket fence that had to be put into one of those houses. And Laura is like, Antonio, we're supposed to close in 2 hours. Figure it out. And somehow Antonio figured it out. And in 2 hours, he had a white picket fence around one of the houses. So, you know, hell, you know, I got a partner on the West Coast who started with me. And he said, Pete, man, I love it, but here's the deal. I'm getting married in 5 months. I can't remember, 4 or 5 months. You know, I need the education piece. So here's all my money to come through the education piece. He said, but here's the deal, Pete. If my fiance doesn't know I'm doing this, and if I don't make this money back in 4 to 5 months, she ain't gonna marry me. She ain't gonna marry me. Now, we're about a year and a half or 2 years into the process with Seth now. And literally, when I say this, we are literally making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is a 26-year-old kid that back then spent everything he had because he saw the vision. Now, once a month, he and his wife now go on a weeks-long vacation. He's got a lifestyle to kill for. And but again, to this, and guess what? He doesn't even need me anymore. He doesn't need the money. He's made enough money with me to go do his own deals. But when you get into a partnership like this, why stop a good thing? You know, my office really becomes like his back end office. You know, Mary, my Atlanta office closes all our deals for him. You know, my paperwork, my admin staff does admin work for him. So in essence, it's, you know, it's like, you know, he doesn't need me. He could do plenty of deals himself. And I know he does do some stuff on the side, but he don't need me for any deal. But it's like, if you ask him, he'll tell you it's working. Why stop a good thing? And that's what the whole thing's about. You know, that initial year that we're working and coaching them is nothing more than a launching pad to a long-term partnership and a long-term relationship. That's why I do this. That's why I do this.
Peter, that's fabulous, man. That is, you know, I love the model. Makes all the sense. Obviously, you got the results backing it up. And I love the idea of how you're helping the student partners. You're getting what you want, which is more deal flow, more deals being closed. You're getting more nationwide presence. It's just it's a great marriage between your training and the transaction side of the business. So how does somebody get in contact with you, Peter? How do they, if you know, someone listening right now, they want to be able to talk to you about more of the details of your partnership program, how do they reach you guys?
Sure. There's one of two ways. Either go to our website, that's www.coachingbypeter.com. That's coachingbypeter.com. Or you know what? I give out my cell phone directly. They can call me directly. Area code 404-915-9685. That's area code 404-915-9685.
Wow. Great as a source. And of course, we'll put this on the show notes, everyone, so we'll have it there. But again, coachingbypeter.com. That's Peter's website, and his phone number 404-915-9685. This is his partner-driven real estate investing program. He's looking for partners all over the country. Leverage his team, which they become, like you said, basically your back office by the systems he has in place. So, Peter, this has been fantastic. Any final remarks, thoughts you have for people that are listening right now?
Well, look, I'll tell you this. Real estate, as you know, is an incredible business. You know, people ask me all the time this question, like, you know, 20 years ago, if you would have done anything differently, what would you do? And my answer is simple. If I truly, truly believe that this is possible, like I'm literally inside one of my little crash pads I have all over the place right now in downtown Atlanta. And I mean, if I truly believe that this kind of lifestyle is possible, the only thing I would have done different 20 years ago is I would have done it 20 times quicker. And really the bottom line. And, I feel like so many years after doing this business, now we got a really, really cool partner program that helps people get exactly what they want.
Super. All right, everyone, again, get a hold of Peter and his program, coachingbypeter.com or 404-915-9685. We're going to post that on the show notes. And for those show notes and to hear this recording, and of course, go to greenlightreinvesting.com, greenlightreinvesting.com with the show notes for this episode and all the past episodes and a lot of free resources for you and how you can get in touch with Peter. So with that, Peter, thank you so much. It's fantastic what you're doing. Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Lance, for having me.
Sure, absolutely. Everyone, until our next episode, make your lifestyle successful in real estate. This is Lance Edwards of Greenlight REI. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
You've been listening to The Expert with Lance Edwards. Let us now blatantly and shamelessly bribe you toward creating your own real estate lifestyle by offering you a whole bunch of free stuff. Go to greenlightreinvesting.com and get you some free stuff and this session's show notes.